What's up, guys? Today we're reacting to scary TikToks you should not watch alone. Thankfully, I have a buddy. Okay, let's start.
There is only one rule.
I'm trying to run outside, but it's getting closer.
The lights on.
What is it? That's it? We don't know if you know that.
Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those eyes?
First. Okay, that was it.
Mom?
It's just your neighborhood friendly ghost. Nothing to be afraid of. Okay, that's nothing out of the ordinary. Because my ghost... Yes, I have ghosts. My ghost usually turns on the TV when I'm trying to sleep. And sometimes when I'm holding the remote, it would just switch to a different channel when I'm watching a specific channel. Anyways, a doll that scares me more than Annabelle. I actually never seen the Annabelle movie. I should watch that. Previous video explains why. Well, then I have to watch the previous video. I should turn my sound all the way up to make it spookier.
With Halloween right around the corner, let's get right into this. When you think of a haunted doll, you most likely think of this. Well, in 2013, a mother bought her daughter a frozen Elsa doll. Basically, the doll would sing Let It Go in English, and for the first 2 years, nothing really happened, until in 2015 it would alternate.
We got this video to explain everything. So when I think of scary doll, I don't think of Annabelle because I've never seen the Annabelle movie. I really don't think of a doll. Actually, I really never have thought about it. Anyways.
From singing in English to singing in Spanish, and that was not a setting on the doll. In December of 2019, the mom claimed that the doll would turn on at random moments of the night, and she had never changed the batteries after having it for 6 years. The mom then secretly threw the doll away in the trash can and was alarmed when she found it hidden in a bench 2 weeks later. Her kids still claim to this day that they had no idea that she even was throwing away the doll and do not know how it appeared again.
I really want to talk about this photo. The security guard at the Bryson Avenue Mall located
Just started singing in Spanish. That's why she got so scared of it.
in Virginia took this photo in 2011. It would later be turned into police, but the woman seen here was never found. For context, the security guard's name was Sean Mercado, and he worked the night shift at this mall. But the mall had been having strange things happening for like weeks. Like on after hours, there are store alarms going off, but nobody's ever found. They're hearing people run through the mall, but again, they never see anybody. Until one night when Sean Mercado goes out to have a cigarette, he's just kind of patrolling the parking lot, and he goes back to enter through the employee entrance when he saw this woman staring back at him from inside the mall. He takes a photo for proof, and then he radios.
I didn't know that. What? I just thought it was a ghost. It's a woman. So it's not a ghost?
for backup, and he goes in after her. He claimed to chase her as fast as he could, but he eventually lost her inside that mall. And despite a police investigation, she would never be found.
Okay, for some reason, that's exactly
Lost her
how I
inside that
pictured
mall.
her
And
to
despite a
look.
police investigation,
I don't know why, but that's exactly how I pictured her to look with the lights on.
she would never be found. It's one of those pictures. One of the pictures where you don't see it at first, right? This photo comes out of Wisconsin State University. It's from 20.
Okay, so is there like a hidden, something hidden around? I'm not seeing anything.
2012, and it was taken by Aaron Silva. What looks like just an abandoned hallway, if you look very close to the back left, you'll see it. The outline of a person who had been watching him from around
Okay, for me, it is my left. I still don't see a
the
person.
corner. For context, this was a very common tradition of a person who had been
I don't see a person in the corner.
watching him from around the corner. For context, this was a very common tradition at this school. A lot of people would dare each other to go inside the abandoned infirmary that was just off campus. You go inside using just a flashlight, and whoever stays in the longest eventually wins.
Wait, so that actually is the school tradition. You go ghost hunting.
Aaron was never going to make it out. After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned, and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone, and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
Oh. Well, I just finally saw him at the
Scaretober Day 11. This is Norman. Around 18 years ago, Norman was built to appear in a music video for the band Interpol, and for some reason, people seem to
Never heard of Interpol. Also, I've seen Norman before in like other YouTubers' videos.
adore him. However, Norman then disappeared for 10 years. Then, in 2014, an auction on iCollector.com titled Animatronic Creepy Ghoul Puppet from a Music Video was listed, and sure enough, it was
It's just free.
Norman. Norman resurfaced after 10 years, and it was shocking to see what horrible, disturbing shape he was in. Despite having a strong fan following, no one bought him, and he disappeared once again for another 5 years. He was then found and acquired by a YouTuber, and, well, the rest speaks for itself.
Wait, he has it? Why does he have it?
So there's a level that's a theme park and it features carnival games.
Who runs it?
Entities.
I don't like this.
Clowns, like rainbow wig, white painted face.
They didn't even specify if it was the back rooms or a different game. They just said the carnival level.
There's clowns, it's not happening.
They're actually friendly.
No.
They'll actually help you exit the level. But you gotta stay away from roller coasters, music, but even children.
Wait, what?
If you look at the roller coasters closely, you'll see that there's skeleton remains.
Well, that ride sucks.
Beware of the carnival music. It will lead you to a dangerous entity that looks like a killer clown with superhuman speed.
What would happen if he catches you?
He
I thought he said. I thought
tortures
he
you in
said
front
the
of a live
carnival
audience
level.
until your eyes turn black and you feel nothing. After, you become part of the live audience.
What about the children?
Well, the children are black.
Don't do this TikTok trend.
Wait, why?
So it started in Japan. Kids would write a phrase on their wrist, F74. When they fell asleep, they would dream of a parallel dimension.
Wait, low key?
No.
No, seriously.
No,
I don't believe it. I want to try, okay?
No, you actually don't.
Why?
You don't. Because if you don't escape, you don't wake up.
Well, how do you escape?
So you're only given 10 hours to find the door with F74 on.
10 hours? I could do it in 2, bro. I'm a speedrunner. Dream. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Okay.
Now I should know that the one is giving up.
Wait, what is this? It That's a sponsor. There is a killer on the loose in California.
Loose right now in California. If you missed my previous videos, essentially there's a serial killer who is on the loose right now in Stockton, California. Currently he has been confirmed to take the lives of 6 people, but it's believed that he's actually linked to a couple of other murders. Most recently though, the Stockton killer actually attempted to kill somebody, but they got away. Her name was Natasha Latour and she lived in a tent in Stockton, California. The 46-year-old says she was asleep in her tent when she was awoken to the sound of gravel crunching around her tent. She then walked out of her tent where she was greeted by the Stockton killer wearing all black and a black mask holding a gun.
Tent and tent? That looks like a house. Tent? Were they camping out back or something? That doesn't look like a tent. So he was outside and she was in a tent and that's a photo of a house. What?
Wearing all black and a black mask holding a gun pointing at her. Natasha then had a fight or flight response where she sprinted towards the killer to try to rush him. On her way towards the killer would duck down and shoot her 9 to 10 times. A train then began to pass by and Natasha actually found a way to escape. She was trudging along the streets of Stockton where she eventually collapsed in the middle of the road. Thankfully though, a couple came by and were able to take her to a hospital. She then recovered from her wounds, but unfortunately she didn't have much information about the killer or his face. Can't really blame her, obviously there's a lot of adrenaline in a moment like that. But I can't help but feel like we're getting closer to finding out who this killer is. And look, as I find more information, I'll make sure to let you guys know, but...
The video ended before he could get another word.
This is why you should always change your locks. In 2017, a college girl woke up from a nightmare drenched in sweat and decided to rinse off before going back to sleep. She propped her phone on a shelf, turned on some music, and then hopped in the shower. A few minutes later, she reaches for her phone to change the song, but stops suddenly. Reflected on her phone's screen was a person standing in the middle of her bathroom facing the shower. She somehow kept her composure, turned the water to scalding hot, and then ripped open the curtain and sprayed the intruder in the face. As they howled in pain, she ran past them to her kitchen to get her butcher's knife. In a panic, she can't find her knife, so she just runs out of the apartment and calls the police. The police go in and come out with a crazy-looking woman in handcuffs. One of the officers comes over to the girl and says she used to live here and she had copies of your keys. Then he pauses and looks down and brings up a clear evidence bag that contained her butcher's knife and he says, looks like she wanted her apartment back.
There's something terrifying going on at Chuck E. Cheese right now and I'm going to explain it to you.
I guess the cops got jokes. Anyways, I have to go see if my doors are locked. Good news, all the doors are locked. Let's continue.
So we all know about the game Five Nights at Freddy's, right?
Yes.
It's a game based around a restaurant that's pretty much like a Chuck E. Cheese where the animatronics come to life and wreak havoc on all the guests there. Yes. But what if I told you this was possibly happening in real life right now? Just 2 days ago, 5 children have gone missing inside of a Chuck E. Cheese, and the parents reported a weird smell from the inside of the building. And then just like Five Nights at Freddy's, someone that worked the late night shift actually got killed after hours.
Well, FNAF is real.
Now these are all pretty weird, but here's the kicker right here. Check out this headline. Night shift workers from Chuck E. Cheese claim strange movement from animatronics post hours. So I don't know, what do you think about this? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? And I mean with 2020 and everything going on, like I wouldn't be shocked if it was real.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 1. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough, so they used real human skeletons. Since then, they've removed all but one. Ducks sometimes become cannibals due to boredom, meaning they kill and eat each other. This behavior begins as early as 4 weeks old. Crocodiles are capable of galloping, similar to a horse. Luckily, alligators cannot. And while we're at it, tarantulas...
Wait. Crocodiles?
Similar to a horse as early as 4 weeks old. Crocodiles are capable.
Crocodiles. Also, crocodiles are the less aggressive ones. I don't know why so far the cannibalistic ducks are the one that surprised me the most so far.
Capable of galloping, similar to a horse. Luckily, alligators cannot. And while we're at it, tarantulas can swim. It's extremely common after you die that there will be extreme gas buildup and you will burp after death. And sometimes dead bodies can even sit up on their own. Also, if a pregnant woman dies,
I think that's called muscle memory. I think, I don't know.
the gas buildup in her body can actually forcefully push a baby out. In other words, a post-mortem baby bazooka. Hearing is the last bodily function to go after one dies. So it's very possible that the last thing you ever hear is the paramedic calling off your CPR.
This is why you should never stay in sketchy motels. In 2005, a young woman on a solo road trip across the country decided to stop for the night. The first place she sees is the Mountaintop Motel. It looked pretty cheap, but she was tired, so she said good enough. The check-in guy eyed her up and down very uncomfortably and then asked her if she was traveling alone. She ignores the question, pays for her room, and then walks away with the key. When she gets inside her room and sees there are literally cockroaches in her bed, she says nope and decides to sleep in her car in the parking lot. Around 3 a.m., she wakes up to see the check-in guy using his own keys to get into the motel room she was supposed to be in. A few minutes later, he storms out and slams the door and starts walking.
Did he say the chicken guy? We're just gonna say he said the chicken guy.
Walking towards her car. Terrified, she hides under her blanket as the man tries to open her car doors but can't and walks away. She speeds off and calls her friend and asks her to look up the address of Mountaintop Motel so she can give it to police. Her friend's quiet for a second and then just says, "The Mountaintop Motel."
I paused it here because that face in the background looks familiar. I think it's reminding me of the demon from Insidious.
Closed a week ago. If someone offers you this, walk away. In 2016, a man was staying at his friend's cabin in the woods when he decided to go for an evening stroll. A little ways down the trail, he hears someone call out from behind his neighbor's house. He looks up and he sees this skinny guy pop out from behind the building who starts waving frantically at him to come over. Worried this guy could be in trouble, the man takes off running to assist, but when he gets...
I think that's from a horror game. I play a lot of horror games. I think that is from a horror game.
It's close enough, the neighbor just offers him a fistful of Slim Jims and starts talking about how much he hates his wife. Sensing there was something wrong with this guy, he says no thank you to the Slim Jims and walks away. The next day, the man calls his friend who owned the cabin to ask him what the deal was with his weirdo neighbor. There was silence on the phone, and then his friend just says, "I don't have any neighbors." The police are called, and it turns out his neighbor was really some lunatic who had recently killed his wife and had been hiding out in the abandoned cabin next door. This is why you always say yes to tandoori chicken. In 2012, a high school tutor and her students stayed up so late one night studying that by the time they were done, the buses had stopped running. Without another way home, the student asked if he could stay the night at her place. Reluctantly, she agreed. When they got back to the apartment, she fell asleep on her bed and he fell asleep on a blanket next to her bed on the ground. A few hours later, she wakes up to the boy standing awkwardly in the middle of the room with a very strange look on his face. She asks him, "What's wrong?" He looks at her and says, "I'm really hungry. Let's go get some tandoori chicken." Confused, she says, "It's 2 a.m. Just get a snack in the cupboard." And he grabs her by the arm and he says, "No, we are getting tandoori chicken right now." And he yanks her from the bed. Feeling totally caught off guard by this whole situation, she goes into the hall with the boy, and as soon as the door shuts behind them, she can tell that he is terrified. He looks at her and just says, "I'm not actually hungry. When I woke up, there was someone under your bed." This is why you should always trust your gut. In the early 1970s, a college student decided to hitchhike his way home after.
Okay, thankfully I don't have it under the bed. My bed's just on the floor.
after class. A car pulls up, a man offers him a ride, and he climbs in. As soon as the car started moving, the student felt totally uneasy, like
Never
something was
get
wrong,
into
but he couldn't
a
quite
random
place it.
car.
Without saying anything, he waited till the next time they slowed down, and he flung the door open.
Never get into a stranger's car, and never go hitchhiking. It's as simple as that.
And ran away. 2 years later, he's flicking through TV channels when he comes across this special interview with a death row inmate. And it's just the audio recording, so he hears the interviewer ask the inmate, "Why did you remove all the door handles inside of your car?" The man just goes, "Well, the first time I tried to kill someone, I picked up a college hitchhiker who got smart at some point and jumped out of my car. So, lesson learned, remove all the door handles." When they showed his picture, the student knew immediately that he was supposed to be the first victim of John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown, who had killed over 30 men and boys in his clown room and stuffed them into his basement. This is why you should always trust your gut. In the 1970s, a young couple decided to go for a late-night hike in the woods. A couple minutes into their walk, and the man remembers thinking, something's not right. He tells his girlfriend, but they just decide to ignore it and keep going, until he steps on something that felt really soft, like it was alive. Before he has a chance to see what he stepped on, they hear all this rustling in the bushes next to them, and they bolt. Years later, that couple turns on the TV, and a death row inmate who's about to be executed is being interviewed. And they ask him, "Was there ever a time that you were almost caught red-handed?" He responded, "Yes, one time. I was in the woods, and a couple walked through, and the man actually stepped on the body of a girl I had just killed. I was hiding in the bushes just a few feet away. They didn't see me." That couple had run into one of the worst serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy.
So supposedly this is
I'm
what
going through the list of killers that I was gonna say that I know of. Okay, this video's done. Whoops. Oh. It's just chaos now. It's chaotic. Okay, I guess that's gonna do it for scary TikToks you should not watch alone. I think that's what I'm calling this. Anyways, if you want to see more reactions and or gameplays, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, and I'll see you all in the next video. There was a lot of saying video in this outro. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.